Just right there, if you could please face me and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Witness stand. And for the record, say and spell your first and last name, please.
Isabella Sementilli, Isabella Sementilli.
Thank you, Honor. May I address her as Isabella?
Any way you want. I will address Ms. Sementilli.
Okay. Well, I know you as Bella, is that correct?
Yes.
And we met, 7 years ago after your mother was arrested?
Yes.
Okay, and I was retained as her attorney, correct?
Yes.
Have we spoke many times since then over the last 7 years?
Yes.
Most of them having to do with scheduling and how the trial is proceeding, if it's going to proceed, so forth and so on. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll get to this, but obviously you were the one who discovered the body of your father on the day of his murder, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you were the subject of many interviews, I assume, by the police. Is that right?
Yes.
You remember, and also you were the one who made the 911 call.
Yes.
Okay, and tried to revive him following the commands or orders of the person on the 911 call and trying to save his life, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you were interviewed, I take it, that night by the police?
Yes.
Did you, I take it, you tell me what condition you were in emotionally when that occurred?
That day when I was interviewed by the police, I tried my best. I mean, I was crying. I was in shock. So.
Your mother was also present at that time, correct?
Yes.
How long after you arrived at the scene and saw your father out on the patio did your mother arrive?
It was probably less than 10 minutes. She was there. She was home.
Your mother is the defendant in this case, Monica Sementilli?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you describe what condition she was in after realizing that Fabio had been murdered?
She fell to her knees when she came home. She was screaming, crying. She couldn't stand up on her own. The minute she walked outside and saw what was happening, she fell to the floor.
Did that condition you observed change to any great degree the rest of that first night?
No.
When you say crying, did you see tears?
Yeah.
How do you know they were tears?
Because she was crying. Her face was wet.
Let me ask you this, Bella. Before, well, a little background. How old are you now?
24.
And how old were you at the time of your father's murder?
16.
Okay. And you were living on Victoria?
Yes.
Queen Victoria Drive, is that it?
Yes.
Did I get it right? And you had moved there from Canada, is that correct?
Yes.
How old were you when you moved to Los Angeles?
10.
From Canada? 10?
Yes.
And you moved there with your father and your sister, Jessica, is that right?
Yes, and my mom.
And your mom. Could you describe briefly how you believe your parents' marriage was leading up to the time your father died?
Yeah, they were best friends. They always went on dates together. And then if they went out, they always took us with them too. We were like a unit. We went on vacations together. They always told me to marry someone who's your best friend. And they were best friends, so.
Was your father a good father?
Yes.
Was your mother a good mother?
Yes.
You know now, and found out, I assume at some point, that your mom was having an affair with Robert Baker, correct?
Yes, the day she was arrested.
Okay. And how do you feel about that?
I didn't believe it at first. I was pretty flustered and frustrated. And then they told me she was arrested, and then I went home after that and met up with my sister.
Did that affect your feelings towards your mother in terms of her marriage with your father?
Yeah.
How?
I was upset. Yeah.
Had you had any idea that that was occurring until your mother's arrest?
No.
And up to that time, had you seen your parents appear to be very happy together?
Yes, very happy.
So let me ask you this: on the day of the murder, do you remember? Well, let me ask you first. Do you remember waking up? What time that was?
Yeah, it was 6:45 in the morning.
And what did you do that morning?
I went to school.
Were you going to school regularly then?
Yes.
And what school was that?
Agora High School.
So, what time did you leave the house?
7:25 usually, 7:30.
Okay. And did you drive to school?
Yes.
What were you driving?
A Fiat, a white Fiat.
Did you notice whether your father was home that morning?
Yes, I did.
And was he home?
Yes.
Did you say hi to him?
Yes.
What was he doing when you saw him?
Just making coffee as I was leaving.
Did you know that morning whether he was going to work or not?
I did not know.
Did he at times stay home from work and skip work?
Yes, sometimes.
How often was that?
Once every few months.
When did you find out, if you did, that he had stayed home that day and had not gone into work?
I didn't know
When did you find out?
when I came home.
During the course of the investigation?
Yes.
So you were out the entire day until you returned
Yes.
to home, is that right?
Yes.
What time did you get out of school that day?
Around 3 o'clock.
Was that normal?
Yes.
And normally would you come home from school?
Yes.
How long would it take you normally to go from Agora High School to home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon of a weekday?
30 to 45 minutes.
Did you have anything though planned that day before coming home?
I had a job interview.
Okay. Did your mother know about that?
Yes.
And where was that job interview and with who?
It was at Italia Deli with the manager.
Where?
With the manager
Oh.
in Agora Hills.
And approximately, or if you know the address, do you know the address?
I don't know the address. It's on Canaan and Thousand Oaks Boulevard.
And how far was that from Agora High School?
5 minutes.
How would you get there, or how did you get there that day, if you remember?
I drove.
And what route did you take?
I took Canaan to Thousand Oaks, that intersection. It's right next to my school, so I just turned out of my school and went there.
Okay, and it took you how long?
5 minutes.
And what did you do when you got there?
I waited there for about 15 minutes, and then I had my interview.
And who was your interview with, do you recall?
The manager.
And it was to do what there?
To have a job.
As?
A sandwich maker.
Okay. Your father was a good sandwich maker too, wasn't he? Did you get the job?
Yes.
So what was your plans after leaving the interview?
I was going to go straight home.
Did something interrupt that?
Yes.
Can you tell us what it was?
My mom called me and said that my prescription glasses were ready and that I could go pick it up, and I asked if I needed someone to come with me, like an adult, because I was 16, and she said she would call them and then call me back to let me know.
And did she call you back and let you know?
Yes.
And did she tell you whether or not she would have to be there with you, or whether you could just go there on your own and then go home?
She called me back and said I can go pick it up myself and then come home.
And did you do that?
Yes.
When you called her, were you still at the Italian deli, or were you driving home already?
I was driving home already.
And then you went to the eye doctor, is that correct?
Yes.
You remember his name?
Dr. Cohen?
Okay. And you remember how long it took you to get there?
From where I was on the freeway, it was probably 15 minutes to get there, and then I picked up my glasses.
Okay. And you did not, your mother said she did not have to be there with you.
She did not have to be there with me.
So you just picked them up and left, correct?
Correct.
You did not have any eye exam or anything necessary at that point?
No.
You'd already been through that?
Right.
And then how long did it take you to get from Dr. Cohen's office to home?
It took me 7 minutes to get home.
So, can you tell us, as best you recall, what time it was that you first reached your home and parked?
It had to have been around 4:15. I remember.
Sometime before 5 o'clock.
Before 5, yeah.
You don't know the exact time?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. And where'd you park?
I parked on the street outside of my house. That's usually where I parked.
Okay. Now, was the garage, how would you usually enter the house when you would park there?
I would enter the garage key code, and the garage would open, and then I would go through the door that leads to the kitchen.
Was that the shortest route to take to get into the house?
Yeah, I could have gone through the front door, but we rarely go through the front door.
Okay. And you had some kind of button to push, you said?
Yeah, on the outside of the garage, usually.
Okay, and did you do that?
No.
What did you do?
The garage was already open.
And did you see anything in the inside of the garage? Did you see the Porsche, for instance?
No, it was not there.
Your father owned a Porsche, is that right?
Yes.
Had he recently purchased it?
Yes.
About how long before?
I don't remember.
Well, his death occurred about January 23rd,
Yes.
2017.
Yeah.
Do you recall him getting the Porsche around Christmas time?
The fall, Christmas, something like that, yeah.
Do you know why he got a Porsche?
No.
Did you know if he liked that car?
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you see that car in the garage when you pulled home?
No.
Did that surprise you, or had you not yet learned that your father had stayed home that day?
It surprised me because usually the garage door and the gate are closed, but every once in a while someone will forget to shut it on their way out, so it was unusual, yeah.
Did you notice any blood on the garage door floor?
Not in the garage, no.
How did your father usually park the Porsche, if you remember? That is, was it straight in with, or did he back it in?
I would say straight in more than backed in.
Okay. But he was not there at that time?
No.
So where did you go?
So I went through the garage into the door that leads to the kitchen.
And the first thing you saw was your father, is that right?
Yes, when you open the door, there's a big window in the kitchen that you can see outside. So I opened the door and I saw him, what looked like him to just be sitting outside.
And how long did it take you to realize that it looked like he had been attacked or and was either dead or had real problems?
There was blood all over the kitchen. As I was walking in, I noticed it on the floor, on the walls, on the door, and it smelled like vinegar.
And what's the first thing you did?
I didn't even go outside. I just called 911 right away. I just dropped my stuff, and then I went outside after.
Okay. And do you know how long you were on the phone with 911?
No, I don't remember.
Were you still on the phone with 911 when your mother arrived?
Yes.
Okay. And how did she arrive? That is, where did you first see her?
She opened the door to the backyard, which is where I was, and just yelled what happened and screaming.
Okay. And at some point, was she on the 911 call with you?
I don't remember.
At some point, were you getting instructions from the operator on how to hopefully save your father's life?
Yes.
And was your mother involved in that as well?
Yes.
And what was the operator telling you to do?
Put him on his back.
And did you attempt to do that with your mother's help?
We tried, but we couldn't do it.
He was just too big?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you make any attempts pursuant to the instructions of 911 to revive your father?
Yeah, I attempted.
And what was that?
To try and turn him, well, at first they told me to turn him on his back, but I was by myself at that point. My mom hadn't come home yet, and I was trying And I even said on the call, I can't do it. He's too heavy for me to do it. And then shortly after, my mom came and I told her, they're telling me to put him on his back, and she was trying to help me.
And before you could do that, did anyone else arrive?
No.
How long were you there before anyone arrived from the fire department, police department, or any agency?
Less than 10 minutes.
Were you and your mom still trying to turn him over and help him?
Yes.
And I assume there was a lot of blood there.
Yes.
Okay. Who did you first notice arriving at the scene?
The firemen.
And was there more than one?
Yes.
Did they take over at that time in terms of caring for your father?
Yes, they told me and my mom to stay inside.
And where did you go with her?
To the dining table inside.
And was she with you the whole time?
Yes.
And was her physical condition any different than you described when she got there and saw the body?
It was the same.
And what about you, Bella? What shape were you in at that point? Do you remember?
I was just in shock. Again, I was crying, but then I wasn't crying. I was trying to be responsible. I was trying to help my mom. All over the place. So.
Who else arrived, or who were the first people to arrive after the initial firemen?
I remember Deborah first.
Deborah Obad?
Yeah.
Now, your sister Jessica,
Yeah.
had she been babysitting as far as you knew at the Obad house?
I didn't know that she was babysitting. I just thought she was out somewhere.
Okay. And was she the next member of the family you saw?
Yeah.
And was Deborah Obad with her?
No.
Okay.
No.
So eventually the police arrived, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and before they arrived, where were you and your mother?
At the dining room table.
Just waiting?
Yeah.
And were the firemen still working on your dad?
Yes.
At some point, did they tell you and your mom that they could do no more and he had died?
Yes.
About how long after they arrived did they tell you that?
I don't remember the timing.
And I assume that the condition of you and your mother remained the same, is that right?
Yeah.
How long was it before any police officers arrived?
I don't remember.
Were they the next people you saw, or was it someone
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
And at some point, were you directed out of the house and told you could not stay there for now and had to go to a neighbor's house?
Yes.
Do you remember which neighbor that was?
Yes.
Whose?
Vanessa Schachter. That's my neighbor.
And was this someone you knew well?
Yes.
And how far away was that house from your house?
Like 5 steps.
Had your sister arrived by then?
Yes.
So did you and your mom and your sister go to the Schachter house?
Yes.
Were you escorted there by an officer?
Yes.
How long were you there before you were spoken to by any of the police?
I was probably there for about half an hour.
Were you with your mom at the same time, all the time?
The whole time up until we did separate interviews with the detectives.
And was that at their direction?
Yeah.
Do you remember the names of any of the detectives who came there?
I don't remember.
Do you remember now? Does Parshall ring a bell, or?
Parshall rings a bell, yeah.
Okay. Your interview with them, was that separate, away from your mom and your sister?
It was me and my sister together.
Okay. And was your mother interviewed separately?
Yes.
And after the interviews concluded, what happened with you and your mom and your sister, if you know?
We went to sleep at Deborah's house.
Did your mom want to sleep at Deborah's house?
I don't remember if she wanted to or not.
So you and your mom and Jessica went over to Deborah's house.
Yes.
Didn't your mom want to sleep home in the family house?
I don't remember if she wanted to or not.
Did you?
No.
So Deborah had arrived by then, is that correct?
Yeah, she was with us at the Schachter's house too.
And I assume a lot of other people had arrived, is that correct?
Yeah.
Did you meet any of them, such as people from Wella or neighbors or even looky-loos?
Yes, my dad's friends came.
Did you talk to them?
Yeah, they gave us hugs and tried to comfort us.
everyone was in pretty much the same condition, shocked?
Shocked, yeah.
Let me ask you this, Bella. Before your father's death, how would you have described your father's marriage with your mom?
They were best friends.
Did your dad have a favorite song?
Yes.
What was that song?
My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Did you ever see your mom sing that song during any of the events that took place, ceremonies or funerals following your father's death?
Yes.
Where was that?
I was not physically there. I just saw videos of it, but I do remember her singing it on a stage, and then I remember her singing it at my cousin's graduation in New York.
Okay. And were there other family members on the stage with her when she sang it?
Yes.
Was one of them Morella?
Yes.
That was from your father's family. How is she related to you?
She's my dad's sister.
Okay. And was she smiling and clapping and singing along?
Yes.
At any time, at least before your mother's arrest, did anyone say to you that they thought your mother was acting inappropriately at any of the events that she attended or the funeral or anything like that?
No.
You were at the funeral in Canada, is that right?
Yes.
Was there also a funeral ceremony here in the Los Angeles area?
Yes.
Okay. You were there as well?
Yes.
When you went to Canada for your father's funeral and burial, was he cremated or was he buried himself without being cremated? Do you
He was
remember?
cremated.
And can you remember who made that decision, if you know?
I don't remember who made that decision, but it was me, my sister, my brother, and my mom that had a conversation about it, and we all agreed to cremate him.
Okay. Did anyone complain about that from Fabio's family?
No.
Did you hear any complaints about, well, let me ask you this. So, was he cremated?
Yes.
And then his remains were buried where, or placed where? Do you
They're in
remember?
Toronto.
Where?
In Canada, in Toronto.
Okay. Did anyone complain about that?
No.
Following that, did any members of your family come out to stay with you and your mom and your sister?
Yes.
To help out?
Yes.
And who was that?
My Aunt Anna came. My grandmother came. Morella came a few times. That's all I really remember.
And your Aunt Anna was just here in court, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when they came, what did they do for you and Bella and your mom?
Just comfort us, keep us busy, helped us out. That's it.
Help you grieve?
Yeah.
Were they all there for you?
Yeah.
Did you have any issues with your father's family at that time?
No.
Did everyone appear to be in the same condition, and that is do the best they could to help you and your sister and your mom survive this terrible tragedy?
Yes.
Okay. What about your cousin Luigi? Did he come?
My brother?
Your brother, I'm sorry.
I don't remember during that time.
Before then, what was the relationship with your father's family?
We were close.
Did you ever go on trips with them?
Like small weekend trips, yeah.
Did they ever come out to California
Yes.
for any particular holidays?
I'm not sure about a holiday, but they would come randomly throughout the year, yes.
And I'm talking about when your father was alive.
Yes, when my father was alive.
Who would come?
Morella, her partner Marco, her daughter Vanessa, Anthony and Stephanie would come too. They're my cousins. Yeah.
And how long were your parents married before your father was murdered?
22. They were married in 96, so 22, I think.
And at any time did you and your family, or Fabio and your mom's family, go to Canada on vacations or visits?
Yes.
And how often did that occur?
It was either we would go during the summer for a few weeks, or we would go for Christmas, so once a year.
And again, how would you describe how the two families got along or interacted?
We would spend equal time with each side of the family.
And get along?
Yeah,
How well?
got along well.
Did any of that change at some point, the relationship between you and your sister and your mom, or specifically you and your sister with your dad's family?
Yes.
And when did that occur, if you can tell us or recall?
When my mom was arrested, I remember at first I did feel cared for by the Sementilli family as time went on, and I showed I stand by my mom and I stand by her innocence in this whole thing. Then the relationship quickly ended because they blasted her on social media every day.
So did things change specifically when you made it clear and your sister that you believed your mom was innocent?
Yes.
And they did not, obviously, from what you're saying, react to that well.
Right.
When you say blasted on media,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
The day she was arrested, already there were posts on Instagram and Facebook about her and saying horrible things about her. And then that just continued and got even worse as time went on. And because they're my family and I followed them on social media, and I was 17 years old at the time, I would see all of it, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. So
what'd you do about it?
So I had to block them on social media because I didn't want to see it. And I tried to keep a personal relationship, but then that ended quickly after.
Who did you try to keep the personal relationship with?
All of them.
And what was the response?
At first, I did want to see them. I did want to keep a relationship with them. And they tried the best that they could, but they're just too angry, so.
When you say they, who are you talking about?
Morella and her family.
So did the relationship then change significantly at that point?
Yes.
Now at that time, you were living in the house just with your sister, is that right?
Sister, and then Anna and my grandmother would switch off and come take care of us because I was underage.
Sure. So did they come out to stay with you, one or the other, or both,
Yes.
for a lengthy period of time?
Yes.
And what about your dad's family? Did they ever come out to stay with you and help?
They offered, and we wanted them to, and my aunt and my grandmother, Anna and Filomena, offered to leave so that Morella and Loredana could come visit us, but they didn't.
They what?
They didn't.
They wouldn't?
They just didn't come.
Was that because of the animosity that occurred because of your attitude towards your mom and her arrest?
I'm assuming, yeah.
Okay. Has that changed?
No.
At any time after your dad died, do you recall any of his clothes or personal items being given away or offered to any of the family members?
Yes.
Can you describe when that occurred, for instance, how long after your father's death?
I believe it was sometime in the spring. I know Morella came and her and my mother went through the garage and all of my dad's clothes and were going through everything. My mother was very generous and just let people take what they wanted.
And did you know what the purpose of that was?
I'm not sure what the purpose of it was. I'm assuming just to go through his stuff to see what was there.
And if anyone wanted something,
They could
like a
have it.
memento or whatever, could they take it?
Yes.
Did that bother you in any way?
No.
Did you think that was inappropriate, that your mom was giving some of your father's clothes away to family members?
No.
Did anyone complain there about that to you as to why she was doing it, or complain to your mother in your presence?
No.
Did that ever come up as an issue?
No.
Now this, of course, was before your mother's arrest
Yes.
and while the families were getting along.
Yes.
Did your father had, and the family had the Porsche, and then they had some kind of truck, is that correct?
Yeah.
What was that?
The truck?
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of truck it was.
And so Who drove the truck before your father passed away?
My dad, that was his car.
And then he got the Porsche.
And then he got the Porsche.
So what car did your mother drive after that?
Me and my mom shared the Fiat, the red Fiat.
Who drove the truck?
My dad.
Okay. So he drove both the truck and the Porsche.
Yes.
And your sister?
She drove my mom's old Mustang.
At some point, was the truck turned in or sold back to the dealership?
Yes.
You recall when that was?
No, I don't remember.
Do you recall any of the circumstances surrounding why the truck had to be given back?
I don't remember.
Okay. Eventually, was a new car purchased?
My mom, yes.
And what kind of car was that?
I believe it was a Mustang.
Okay. Was a Mustang one of your dad's favorite cars also?
I have no idea.
Okay. Do you know, did you ever find out why your father was home that day from work?
No, he would just do that randomly.
Did you ever hear or did anyone ever tell you anything about a colonoscopy appointment that your father may have had?
No.
So you don't know to this day why he stayed home other than to work at home, is that right?
Right.
When he stayed home and worked at home, where did he work usually?
On the kitchen table.
But he wasn't up when you left that day?
He was up. He was making coffee as I was leaving. He just woke up after me.
And did you talk to him?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't remember, but I'm sure I did.
And that was the last time you saw him alive, is that right?
Yes.
You still believe in your mother's innocence?
Yes.
You know there's a lot of evidence that's been introduced in this case about your dad and the affair.
Yes.
Sustained.
Has any of the evidence that was...
Stricken.
Has any of the evidence that you know from... Well, first of all, when did you find out your mom was having an affair with Robert Baker?
The day she was arrested.
And who told you that?
The detectives that pulled me out of work. I don't remember who it was.
So you were at work that day?
I was working that day.
At the place where you got the...
The job, yeah.
Okay. And you were pulled out of work by the detectives?
Yes.
You remember who it was?
No.
And were they there in person?
Yes.
And what did they tell you?
They took me to a Starbucks down the street and started recording me, and they just said that...
So, wait, started recording you?
They recorded me, yes.
Well, were they asking you questions first?
Yes.
All right, that leads me back. After the first night that you were interviewed by the police, were there other times when they came out to interview you and have you take them around the house and tell you what you did that day and so forth?
Yes.
About how many times did that occur, if you recall?
After the night that my father was killed?
Yes.
Probably only twice.
Okay. And did you cooperate?
Yes.
Did they come out to speak to your mom on occasions also?
Yes.
And did she cooperate?
Yes.
Did you know whether or not you were being recorded?
No.
Did they ever tell you the progress of the investigation into your father's death?
Yes, they did.
And what did they tell you?
They just said it was a robbery gone wrong.
And did your mom often inquire about what the
Yes.
state of the investigation was?
Yes.
And what did they say, if you recall?
They're still finding the guys who did it. That's it.
That they were making progress, things of that nature?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know that now that they were lying to you?
Yeah.
So now take me back to you're at school and they bring you out of school. They start questioning you, is that right?
Out of work, yeah. They took me out of work.
Sorry. And were these still additional questions about the investigation, where you were, where your mother was on the day of the incident and so forth?
Yeah, and that was the first time they asked me how I knew Rob Baker.
Okay. Did you know Rob Baker before your mom's arrest?
Yes.
And how did you know him?
He was the racquetball coach at the gym.
And how did you first meet Mr. Baker?
At the gym.
And can you estimate how long before your father's murder that you first met him?
Probably a year to a year and a half before.
And how did you meet him?
At the gym. I was with my sister and my mom.
And did you play racquetball there as well?
A few times, yeah.
Who played more, you or your sister?
My sister.
Was she better?
Yeah.
What about your mom?
She went often, yeah.
And she played there as well?
Yes.
Did she introduce you to Mr. Baker?
Yes.
As who?
As the racquetball coach.
And how many times would you estimate after that you were at the gym or went to the gym before your father's death?
Say that again, sorry.
How many times, how often would you go to the gym to play racquetball or do anything else?
Not often.
Who went more, you or your sister?
My sister.
So she played racquetball there?
Yes. Yes.
And what about your mom?
Often.
Did you, well, when you say often, how often would you estimate that your mom went to the gym that you know of,
Yeah.
play racquetball or do anything else?
Yeah, a few times a week.
And the times that you went there, did you see Mr. Baker as well?
I don't remember that. If I was with my sister and my mom, yeah, I was gonna see him there, but I never went by myself. So
Was he friendly with you?
yes.
Did you ever see Robert Baker other than at the gym?
Yes.
Can you tell us the first time you saw him outside of the gym setting?
I don't remember the first time, but there are a few incidences where I've seen him outside of the gym. I don't know what order it is in.
All right, well, tell us about the first one you remember.
Okay. My cousin was visiting, and we were at the hotel because our house was getting painted, and we were getting off of the freeway. And as we're getting off the freeway, I was in a separate car, and my sister and cousin were in the car in front of me, and her tire popped. And I remember them pulling over to the side of the road, and a car pulled up behind her. I called her and I asked her what happened, and she said that her tire popped, but she sees Rob is behind her, so he helps them with her flat tire.
And when she said Rob was behind her, did you know who she was talking about?
Yes.
Is that Robert Baker?
Yes.
Did you know why he was behind her?
No.
Did you know if anyone had called him?
No.
Did you see him outside the car? Did you say hello or anything? Or
No.
what did you do?
I kept driving because I was behind them.
And he helped fix the tire, is that right?
He called someone to come fix it.
Did that feel a little creepy to you?
That's a rule on that ground. So stand on that ground.
How did that make you feel to see Mr. Baker suddenly show up behind you?
At the time, it didn't feel weird
Okay, why?
because I just thought it was a coincidence.
When did you next see Mr. Baker before your mom's arrest?
The same trip that my cousin was visiting, we went to a restaurant, Denny's restaurant, and we sat...
Denny's, you said?
Denny's.
Okay.
And we sat down, and Rob was sitting right next to us, the table right next to us.
And was it...
I'm going to take our lunch and recess until 1:30. The admission applies. Have a good lunch. See you at 1:30. Defense may continue.
I just hope they all have birthdays before Isabella, just a few more questions. After the murder of your father and you moved back into the house, did you have some concerns about your safety or being alone, I should say, in the house if your mother and or Jessica were out?
Yes.
And can you tell me what that was about?
Yeah, I mean, I was scared to be there by myself because apparently there are 2 murderers on the loose. So, yeah, I was scared to be alone in my house.
And at some times, was your mother out, and did you text her or contact her in some way to express your concern as to when she was coming home?
Yes.
How did you do that, and about how often?
If I was ever home alone, I would just text at least one of them to ask where they were.
And when you say one of them, who's the other one?
My sister and my mom.
So you're talking about your older sister, Jessica?
Yes.
So at times she was out and you texted her as to where the H are you?
Yeah.
And with your mom as well?
Yes.
How did they respond?
They would tell me where they were.
Did they come home immediately or not?
No.
Did this cause some discord between you and your sister for a while?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would be pretty upset.
Did you resolve it?
Yes.
Did she also point out that you had gone out a few times on a date yourself?
Yes.
And did you resolve the issue with your mom?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. At any time during while you were living in the house there with your mom and sister and Fabio, did your mom ever cook dinner or cook for the family?
Yes.
Did she ever use vinegar?
Yes.
Let me then close with this, if I may. You recounted to us what occurred after the interview at the deli and the eye doctor, and coming home. Remember that?
Yes.
You did talk to your mom before you went to the eye doctor, correct?
Yes.
If she had asked you to meet her at the eye doctor or wait for her or anything, would you have done so?
Yes.
Relevance and speculation.
Sustained.
If she had asked you to meet her for coffee in a half hour or hour, would you have done so?
Yes.
Sustained.
Did your mom say anything to you that caused you to delay going home once you picked up your eyeglasses?
No.
Thank you, Anna.
You may cross.
Okay.
1 second.
Good afternoon, Ms. Christantini?
Sementilli.
Sementilli, sorry. Okay, so when the day of, and I'm not going to go through all the details of the day of, but you testified that you had an interview with the deli. Was it at 4 o'clock that day?
It was earlier. It's around 3:30.
But you told the detectives back during the time frame in June of 2017 that it was at 4.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
I remember 3:30, but if what I said there, then
Do you need to look at a transcript or?
yeah, I do.
Okay. And that would be the June 20 or 14th transcript, page 4.
Do we have a date of that?
I'm sorry?
The date?
I think she just said June 14th.
1 second. Okay. Okay. So it was after you got out of school at 2:55:3?
In June?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you told them that you waited around for an hour after school and then went to your appointment.
My shift started at 4, yes.
Okay. So when you went to your job interview then, does that sound more like it than 4 o'clock?
In January, my job interview?
Yes, on January 23rd.
It would have been around that time, yeah.
Okay. So when you went there then, you went to the job interview and that's the deli in Agora, which is about how many miles from your house?
14.
Okay. Defense asked you about if you talked to your mom. You talked to your mom before the interview, right? You recall that? If you don't.
I don't know.
I'm going to have a 6-page Celebrate report specific to text messages between the defendant and Isabella Sementilli.
Yes.
Okay.
You said that, Mark?
May I mark that as equals 275?
Yes.
All right. Showing you at the top here, and I've blocked out your number. At 1:40 on 123, your mom texted you, text me after interview and let me know when you're on your way. I'm making fiftina and corn for dinner.
Okay.
Is that correct? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, but
Okay, but that is a text that you recognize going from your mother to you.
okay. Yes.
Yes. And then at 1:53:50, you wrote, KK, is that meaning okay?
Yes.
And then you had your interview.
Yes.
It would be testified that your mother then, you were driving home. You testified on a direct exam that you were driving home from your interview when your mom called you and told you to go pick up your eyeglasses.
Yes.
So while you were going, your plan was to have the interview and then you were on your way home.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
If you remember, did you call your mom or talk to your mom after the interview?
Yes, on my way home.
Okay. So same exhibit I just put up down here at 422. There's 2 entries here. The first one looks like a call that didn't connect. Is that you? Do you remember trying to call your mom?
I don't remember.
All right. And then your mom called you at 4:24:27, and there was a 3-minute and 40-second call. Does that seem about right? At 4:24, your mom called you?
Yes.
Okay, and she's telling you then to go to the eye doctor.
Yes.
So while you're on your way home, your mom actually called you and sent you on a detour to the eye doctor.
Yes.
So that, then instead of going straight home, you now went at 4:24. You were told by your mom to go to the eye doctor, and you went there.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And that delayed you getting home a little bit.
Yes.
So you went to the eye doctor, and then I'm assuming when you get there, they put glasses on, they had to fit you and that kind of thing. Is that what it was?
It was just a pickup order because my glasses were ready, so I just picked them up.
Now, was the eye doctor on your way home, like in a direct line home, or did you have to go out of your way?
It's on the way, yeah.
So you had to go out of your way then. Instead of going directly home, you now had to go out of your way home to the eye doctor to pick up your glasses.
Yes.
I thought she said on the way.
She did say on the way.
Okay, on the way. Sorry, I misheard. It's on the way home?
Yes.
Okay, so then when you came home after that, now you're coming home and you drove a red Fiat, right?
Yes.
Exhibit 7, and that's page 8. Is that your red Fiat?
Yes.
Okay. And then you also talked about how you parked it, and this is Exhibit 7, and it's page 7. Is that how you parked it on the day of the crime when you got home?
Yes.
Do you use, the front gates are right here, is that where you enter into your property?
Yes.
And again, the gates were open or closed?
They were open.
And did you testify if you remember, are they normally left open or are they normally left closed?
That front gate is normally left open.
All right. So that was not unusual when you got home.
Right.
Now, after this incident, I'm going to jump ahead. Within the next 2 weeks then, as defense counsel asked you, your mom started going out a lot, right?
Sure.
Well, is that true?
Yeah.
And you're in a situation, you were 16 at the time?
Yes.
You were being left home alone sometimes?
Yes.
And were you scared being in the house?
Yes.
Why were you scared?
Because there were 2 killers that were not caught yet, and I was scared they were going to come back.
Did you tell your mom that?
Yes.
Did you tell your sister that?
Yes.
Did they say anything to you?
Yeah, they reassured me.
Okay. How many times do you think you were left home alone at night like that?
I was never alone throughout the night, but probably like once a month, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you scared also that you had never gotten any new security cameras?
That I don't remember knowing of or being scared of.
You knew that you had, prior to the murder of your father, you knew that you had security cameras.
Yes.
Correct, right? And you knew that your mom could access it from her phone.
Yes.
And you told the defense investigators that she could access it from her phone, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you ever talk about afterwards? Was there ever conversation about replacing those cameras?
No.
But the locks were changed on the house?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's been already marked as Exhibit 220. And this is a text starting with 2/8/2017 at 9:55 at night. 2/8 then is 2 weeks after your dad was killed. You're texting, "Come home, all my friends are leaving," and that was to your mom?
Yes.
Your sister responds that she's on her way, and then you texted back, "Are you almost home?" And we're at about 10:43 at night. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is this an example of you being scared to be home alone?
Yes.
You continue with the text. There's a yeah, and then you continue with, "Guys, what the hell, why are you leaving me alone for so long? I don't want to be alone in this house. Again, same thing you testified to, you're expressing that you're afraid and you don't want to be alone.
Yes.
And then you wrote, all right, well, don't forget I exist or anything. I'm not opening the door. You can do it yourself. Good night. And that is at 10:43 at night. And that was
Yes.
a text chain with both your sister and your mom?
Yes.
And were you upset with them at this time when you're texting this?
Yes.
What were you upset about?
That I was
What?
that I was alone.
And your mom responds, Jess, where are you? Get home. And then your sister responds that she's getting off the freeway. This is at 10:45 at night, 2 weeks after, on February 8th. Do you know where your mom was?
No.
Jumping forward to March 9th. Again, do you recognize this as a text chain between you and your sister and eventually your mom?
Yes.
Okay, and on 3/9, March 9th at 10:12 at night, you said, can one of you please come home? Juliana is falling asleep and I'm up studying alone. I don't get why you guys leave me alone all the time. Who's Juliana?
My cousin.
And how old was she?
A year younger than me at the time, so 15.
So you were 16 and your 15-year-old cousin
Yes.
were there, and again, you were afraid that you guys were alone home at night?
Yes.
And you said, leave me alone all the time. We just saw one other example of a text. Has
Yes.
this happened again multiple times?
I don't remember, but I was 17 and emotionally in distress, so that's probably why I said that.
All right. And then your sister's assuring you that she's coming home. And down at the bottom you said, still, I don't care. Then you wonder why I don't talk to you guys because you're never home and just leave me here to fend for myself. Well, I'm not you, Jess. I don't like being in this house. It's worse when I'm alone. You sent that to your sister and your mom on the same chain?
Yes.
During that time, you told, at some point you told the defense investigators, the detectives, that you felt like you grieved differently than your mom and sister.
Yes.
Is that true? How so?
Just quiet. I like to be like with myself, but not actually alone. I grieved a lot in private.
And you actually sought therapy, right? You went to therapy sessions?
Yes.
Did that help you?
Yes.
Okay, do you know if your mom or sister went to any therapy sessions?
My mom came to one with me, yes.
She came to one with you?
Yes.
And then your aunt took you to some?
Yes.
Did your mom ever go to any of her own that you know of?
Objection, call for conclusion.
Did your sister ever go to any therapy sessions?
No.
So that same night when you're telling your parents, or your mom, March 9th, and your sister about coming home, your mom responded to you at 10:16 that night, WTF is going on with 3 question marks. Do you remember receiving that?
No.
Okay. Well, if it follows in line with the rest of your texts, and that's in response to what you had texted about asking her to come home, right? At 10:14, you're asking her and your sister talking about you don't want to be home alone, and your mom responds to WTF is going on, right?
Yes.
All right. And she tells you she's at a comedy club, and this is what I gotta see. Did you see that?
Yes, I see it.
Did you know where your mom, before this text, did you know where she was that night?
I don't remember if I knew.
Did you know who she was out with?
No.
And your sister responds that she's going to come home. Is that right?
Yes.
And was your sister going out a lot as well?
Not really, no.
Okay. Your mom again responds with a photo of, up in the time. Did she send you a photo of the Laugh Factory?
I don't remember, but yes.
Do you know what the Laugh Factory is?
Yes.
Did you know your mom to ever go there?
No.
And that's at 10:17 at night. And your mom says to work it out. Did you take that to mean between you and your sister?
Sorry, say that again.
Did you take that to mean work it out between you and your sister Jessica?
Yes.
All right. You responded, I'm making that therapy appointment tomorrow. It's like you guys don't even care. Good night. Is it fair to say you're upset with him again for leaving you home alone?
Yes.
The text chains go on, and your mother at 10:20 at night, when you're asking her to come home because you're scared, responded, I'm so very hurt and disappointed, I'm coming home. At which point you said, no, it's fine. Why was it fine now?
I'm not sure.
Were you just frustrated at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever talk to your mom about not wanting her to go out and leave you home alone by yourself at night since you were only 16 years old?
Yeah. I don't remember having a personal, like, one-on-one conversation like that, no.
Now, in the ensuing months, you went back to Canada a few times, correct?
Before she was arrested?
I'm sorry. And after your dad was killed, you went back to Canada, Toronto, the Woodbridge area a few different times. Is that right?
I went once, yeah.
You went one time. Did you choose to stay home some of the times that your mother or your sister went?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because I had school and a job, and it was part of, like, extracurriculars.
When you stayed home and they left to go to Canada, then who did you stay with?
My friend,
Who was that?
Hannah.
That was a friend just from school?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during that time frame, do you recall your mom going to Myrtle Beach?
Yes.
Did she tell you why she was going there?
Just a trip with her friends.
Well, what did she tell you was the reason why she was going there?
I don't remember.
Did you tell the detectives that she told you that she was going there because there was the famous golf courses there and your dad really wanted to go and she just wanted to go?
Yes.
Okay. And she actually told you she went by herself though, right?
I don't remember.
Okay. But she didn't tell you she was going with a male or anyone that she was seeing?
No.
And as you testified during this entire time until your mother's arrest, you didn't know that she was having an affair?
No.
You had met Rob Baker before,
Yes.
correct? When did you first meet him?
At the gym.
Do you know around what time frame that was?
It was like a year and a half before my dad was killed.
Okay. And when you met him, did you like him?
Yeah.
Okay. After your dad was killed, you started seeing Rob Baker more and more?
Yeah. Randomly, yeah.
Did you ever suspect that your mom was seeing him or in a relationship with him?
No.
Did your sister ever tell you that he had been discovered in your house in the morning in your parents' bedroom?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to your mom about that?
No.
So when you were seeing Rob around, you testified that you went one time to a restaurant with your grandma, cousin, and your sister. Is that correct?
It was just me, my sister, and my cousin.
Okay. That restaurant, you said was a Denny's, right?
Yes.
Okay. Previously, did you tell detectives you thought it was an IHOP?
Yes.
All right. But you've since realized it's a Denny's?
Yes.
Did you clarify that with Jessica?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got there, you said you saw him there, but he was already there when you guys got there, right?
Yes.
All right. Then after, you talked about another time when you were driving, something to the degree of you were driving and you ran in, or somebody got a flat tire,
Yes.
right? But you were driving a separate car.
Yes.
So you don't know if he was called, if your mom called him to come help you or anything like that, right?
Yes.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Because at that time, was Rob helping you with things around the house?
No.
Was he coming over helping fix Jessica's car?
I don't know.
Did you ever know him to help Jessica with her car, take her car to a mechanic, things of that nature?
Just that tire, when her tire popped, just that one time I know of.
Okay. One second. More questions?
Redirect.
Yes, just briefly, Your Honor. Thank you. Bella, let me understand. One night, one date was given you on these text messages of February 14th. Remember that?
Sorry, say that again.
The prosecutor was just talking to you about text messages, you being concerned about being home. You remember that?
Yes.
The first one was February 14th, the list of messages.
Yes.
And I'm not going to repeat them all, but you said...
I'm going to correct the mistakes.
I'm sorry?
You mistake the testimony, February.
I'll walk out there.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. All right, February 8th, and Mr. Babbage is right, and I am wrong. Regardless of the date, when you first contacted your mom and Jessica, you said your friends had just left, right?
Yes.
So which friends had been there with you?
I don't know who exactly or remember who exactly, but...
Okay, it was more than one, right? Because
Yes.
it was plural.
Yes.
So in essence, your mom had left you home with your friends there,
Yes.
and Jessica had gone out, and the only problem was your friends left before they came home.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. The other time, or one other time that was mentioned, I think was March 9th, and you said Juliana had just left, right?
Fallen asleep.
Fallen asleep.
Yeah.
So Juliana was your cousin,
Yes.
correct? And she was home with you together when your mom and Jessica had gone out, correct?
Yes.
And what bothered you was that Juliana had fallen asleep.
Yes.
Before she had fallen asleep, you were fine, just to prove you were home, talking, whatever.
Yes.
Right? If you were scared, you ever think to wake her up?
No.
In any event, eventually you and your mom and Jessica put this behind you, and everyone realized that everyone else was a little too touchy about it, correct?
Yes.
But this was only on a few occasions over these 4 months since your father had been murdered until your mom was arrested. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Now, the other thing that was mentioned was the night of the day of the murder. Certain times were given. Well, first of all, when you were asked initially or eventually about what time you had left the interview, you said the DA said you had said 4 o'clock. You remember that?
Yes.
That clearly was later than you really left, correct?
The judge mistakes the testimony and left.
What's this thing?
We're talking about when you left the interview,
The interview.
okay? Now, you know that the DA has scientific forensic evidence of when your calls were made and all the rest, so you don't have to speculate about that.
Right.
But you were asked, didn't you tell one of the officers on June 14th when you were interviewed that it had been 4 o'clock? You remember that question?
Yes.
June 14th was the day your mother was arrested,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And it was 4 months after your father was murdered, right?
Yes.
So the question you were being asked is, did you say 4 o'clock the day your mother got arrested, and could you have been wrong or right? You could have been wrong. Is
Yeah.
that true?
Yes.
And again, everything we know is determined forensically and scientifically the exact time. Okay? Is that right?
Yes.
As far as you know? Now, it was also mentioned that after you had called, your mom had called you, is that it, when you left or you called her when you left the interview?
I don't remember who called who.
Okay. But then there was a 3-minute call Ms. Stagel mentioned to you, remember?
Yes.
Now, during that call, there was a break-in or a call waiting, and the doctor had called. Isn't that correct? Dr. Cohen.
Objection since last night evidence.
What's this thing?
Do you know if your mom then talked to Dr. Cohen and then told you that she did not have to be there with you? You could pick them up yourself even though you were a minor?
Yes.
Okay. She indicated she had talked to Dr. Cohen, correct?
Yes.
Now, she could have said to you, no, wait there, I'll meet you there, and wait for me, and delayed the time you got home, correct?
Yes.
She didn't say that.
She didn't say that.
So she said, you can go right now and pick them up.
Yes.
And so you did.
Yes.
And you picked them up,
We drove home, and we got there about a minute after the murderers left. Am I right?
Yes.
Your mom didn't try to delay you going home at all, did she?
No.
I think.
Anything further?
Well, Isabella, you were going straight home, and your mom called you and told you to go to the eye doctor, right?
Yeah.
No more questions.
Anything further by the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry. Bella, isn't it true that you previously told detectives that it was your decision to go to the doctor and pick up your eyeglasses, not your mother's? You remember that?
I don't remember.
You remember as you sit here now whether it was your decision or your mother's decision for you to go and pick up your eyeglasses?
I don't remember.
When you left the interview, your eyeglasses you knew were at the doctor's office. You didn't have them, correct?
I didn't have them.
Okay. You knew they were ready or not?
No, I did not know they were ready.
When you found out they were ready, it was your decision to go, correct?
My mom told me they were ready and to pick them up, and I did not.
But you asked whether she had to be there first.
Yes.
So you indicated you were going to go there, but you wanted to know if she had to be there with you to pick them up.
Yes.
And she told you she did not have to be with you. She had talked to the doctor. You could go yourself.
Yes.
And then the rest played out as we discussed, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anything further about
Nothing
it?
further.
Thank you, Ms. Sementilli. You're excused. May I call your next witness?
This would be Robert Baker.
All right, we're going to take about 10 minutes to set this up for the next witness. The evidence applies. See that in about 10 minutes.